Hello, welcome back. History of Design, Session 1B. Hope everybody's doing well. Today, we're going to go over the PDFs a little bit. If you're in brand, I'm sorry, it's going to be a little bit of a repeat. I apologize, but some people are in one class, not in both, so I can't guarantee, but the information is important. Um, Dealing with a history class, I want to talk about textures a little bit and not using Photoshop textures. That's basically it. I'm going to show you why. And then we'll talk about the new assignment, which is the kickoff is fairly easy. So if you're both in brand and this, just kind of know that this is going to be like, oh, this is a little bit simpler now, then it may get hard. Like they may swap on which ones gets harder and less hard. So it's all good. Let's jump in to the PDF. So I'm going to close this out. And what I'm going to do is open up this. I'm on this on student preview. Is I'm just going to go through the setup of the first project here, the invention of writing, the design, and then I'm going to show you how to export it and how to save your export settings for my classes. So you never have to like monkey with the buttons ever again. It just saves it. You just hit it once, hit it twice, and then I'll explain all the reasoning why I'm making you do this work as you roll your eyes at me. Let me just move this to the side. I'm going to open up Illustrator and we'll get started. So I'm going to go to New File and I'm going to create, you can click on print, whatever, do whatever you want. Make sure it's on inches for my class. And then we are going to do 7 by 5, 7 tab 5, tab 5. The bleed is 0.25. There we go. And I'm going to hit create. There we are. I'm going to create my margin and I'm going to talk about this in case you weren't in my 103 class to understanding why there are certain markings on certain pages. So this needs to be a ½ inch smaller. So it's 6.5 by 4.5. I'm just going to go right here to my properties. Ugh. 4.5. Then I can go to fill, which is absolutely nothing. The stroke, which will be magenta on this line. It'll be a one point exactly. I'm going to make sure it's centered and centered. Then I'm going to turn on my rulers. I'm going to pull a guide and I'm going to pull a guide. That first guide is off. That's going to bug me. There we go. The computer lines it up, right? So just use that. No, whenever the computer has that matching thing, use it. I use it all the time. It makes life so much easier. So I have everything set up here. Then with margin selected, it has to be blue. So if it's not blue and you go up here, you can't do anything. It has to be selected, and then you go to the hamburger menu, and we're going to template. And that sets it up so the margin will not show in the final print no matter what. It is a template. Nobody needs to see it but you and the printer, because the printer is going to tell you you need a margin set up like this, and they may check your margin, just like I'm going to check your margin, because if you have stuff going outside of the margin, they're going to question it. Do you sure? We told you don't put stuff, outside the margin, make it covered up, cut off, blah, blah. So you got to be sure about that. I'll talk about that more in 1 second. Crop marks. Now, crop marks are just built with a box. The full size of the artboard, so 7 by 5, and you want to make sure you turn off that stroke. You can double check that it's fully centered, and then under FX, it's just crop marks. Now, I'll try not to say this anymore, as I talked about in the earlier class. Here, you can see my crop marks may look different than what you would normally see as a crop mark. That's simply, it's a preference. So if you go to settings in general, I have used Japanese crop marks turned on. I don't know when, like super long time ago, somebody was like using them and I was like, what are those crop marks? And then I liked them since. So the other crop marks is just a tick in each corner, basically. I like these. I started using them I do a lot of hand cutting out, hand stuff, and I use these crop marks all the time. Like I think I used them today or yesterday. Did somebody join? I think that's just a join and not a chat. Okay. So that's what I do. So I do this all the time. All right. I want the corner, but not the full corner. All right. So why do we need all this stuff in a design? The margin is set up and that creates a safe zone. Everything inside the margin is safe. Anything outside of the margin is not safe. And what do we mean by not safe? Is when we print a document at a printer, uh, we may be used to printing like, oh, I printed out on my home printer or at the school printer. It's 8.5 by 11. Boom, the sheet comes out and you know there's a white border around it or whatever, and it comes out. But when you see something printed and it's full page, full edge printing, edge to edge printing, what they actually do is they print your piece on a larger sheet of paper. So if you're like, we need 10,000 8.5 by 11 flyers, full bleed, they're actually going to print them on a 9 by 12 sheet of paper and cut out the edges. That's the only way you can get to the edge. There's new technology now that might be able, it kind of can print to the edge, but there's still a shift. So a shift may happen when they're using what is called the guillotine, right? Yeah, from French, the guillotine, and they cut it. But when you cut 1,000 pieces, there's a slight shift happens. And so some may cut in a little bit and it may shift over to the side. If you have anything, text or anything outside of this margin, there's a chance it may get cut a little bit or get really tight to the edge. So that's why we have a margin and we create the safe space. And what the client will say is, or the printer will say, make sure no important information goes beyond the margin. No text, a person's face, like stuff like that. If you have like important text and it runs off halfway, like it may get cut off. And this is really important, especially in binded books, like magazines, books where there's a spine that this side margin will be bigger than normal because it's going to crease in and glue may get there. It may not open up all the way. So it's very important to know that the margin is there and that you never put important information past the margin. Now the bleed is the same. The bleed, and I'm going to set this up for the next run, is that's our area that if you're like, I want this page to be blue from edge to edge, right? Edge to edge. Well, you don't go from edge to edge. We actually want that box all the way to the bleed mark. Anything that you want touching the edge of the artboard literally needs to touch the edge of I didn't want to do that. Cancel. Needs to touch the edge of the bleed mark. I want a stripe going through here. That stripe, I want it from edge to edge. It needs to actually go from bleed to bleed, not edge to edge. If you stop it here, there's a chance that when they print it, magenta will show up in the background. So anything you ever do, and you're like, I want that to touch the edge, it needs to go all the way to the bleed. That includes photos. So if you have a photo of a person and you want it to the edge, you actually have to make sure that you have enough of that photo. Say, let's put the person's head. Like you're like, I want it perfectly centered in this box. Excuse me. There's my person's head. And they're on the background, and this is how I want it. I need to make sure that this photo goes past the edge and bleeds off. Made easier now these days with Photoshop. You can just take that photo, extend it, and ask Photoshop, like, bleed out to this edge, and it'll automatically do it. Back in the day, I used to have to hand do this. If we needed something, I would have to add like an inch onto a photo that wasn't there by hand and like craft it in enough that if there was bleed, it wouldn't show up. So that is why these marks are important. That's why I'm teaching you them. That's why you need to know them. I'm gonna make this bigger because that magenta, you can't see the margin. So that is why we have all these marks here. That is why we use them in every one of my projects. Because once you get in the professional world, you got to put them on every project. The printer's going to say like, oh, what you didn't, where's the margins? Like crop marks, margins, like, and they might question like, how do you think it's going to print? And generally the printer will tell you, okay, when you go to them and you say, we need 320 by 30 posters, they're going to come back to you and be like, make sure the crop marks, the bleed needs to be this much, the margin needs to be this much, and you obey those rules. And it all has to do with the printing and how it's printed. Every printer is different. There's no like universal, like it just depends on what you're printing, how you're printing. You'll even get this for if you ever design a tent, a banner, a billboard, they'll tell you the same stuff. We need this much bleed, this much margin, all that kind of stuff. Now, the other one that we all love is the second part that I didn't fully get into is exporting two ways. I kind of talked about it. This is the full on talk about, and I'm going to show you how to set it up to make it quicker each time you do this. And again, I will show this next week when we work in InDesign. We flip-flop. We're going to work in InDesign, we're going to work in Illustrator, and we're going to go back and forth all the way through. Gotta know all your programs. So why do we do the client preview? The client preview, as I previously said, is that preview with nothing on it. It is the client gets to see the work as they're going to see it in real life. Great. And then the reason is we're also reducing the image size because we want smaller images due to we want to email it to them. They don't need a 100 meg document sent to them to jam up their email when they just need to quickly look at it and make sure everything's in place, to read through it, tell you some changes. They just need a low res preview. And they're used to getting that. And sometimes you have to tell the client when they're like, the images are a little blurry, you just say, oh, it's just a preview. The printer one will be high res, but we don't send you that because the file would be enormous. So that's what we do. So what we can do here is if I go to File, Save As, and I'm just going to call this Test. And I'm going to save it to my desktop. I just know where I'm saving it, and that's my Illustrator file. All good, highest one. And now I'll save for the client. So I'm going to go to File, Export, Export As, and I'm going to change it to a PDF. And I'm going to put _client. And I'm going to hit export. Now this is where we'll play around. So first one is I just click on smallest file size. I make sure view PDF after saving is open. Then I go to marks and bleed and I make sure nothing is clicked here. Then what I can do is this is my setup every time for a client. I'm going to click on this thing right here on the side, Adobe PDF preset. And then if you go all the way to the edge, there's this. I can make my own. So this is Joel's client PDF and hit OK. Now in this dropdown, I have it right here. Every time I want to make a PDF for a client, all I do is click on that, hit export. Boom, it's done. It comes up. Why should I have to view the PDF after saving? You see the project in a different light. You're looking at it now with a white background. There's no marks, no bleeds, no nothing on it. And you might notice something you didn't notice over here. And I'll tell you what, this has saved me. This saves me all the time. Every couple of weeks, I'll get to a project and I'll export it and I have it open, my PDF, and I'll just simply look at it and be like, oh, I totally left this here. But because you're looking at it and you may be zoomed in or doing something else, you may not see that. So then it's not a big deal. You're like, oh, okay, this black box, I totally missed that. So then you just close that, take there, then I can just go here. Ugh. delete that, make the change, and then go to File, Export, Export as PDF. Then I just write Client, Export, Replace, and look, Joel's Client PDF. I don't have to look at anything. I just hit Export PDF, and I'm like, oh, okay, good. The big black blob is gone. I didn't notice that. And then you can set one up for the press as well. So I'm going to go to File, Export, Export as, and this one is Press. Now they do need all of the marks, bleeds, and everything. Not everything. Sometimes we go crazy. But I'm going to go through, I'm going to start with press quality, view PDF after saving, then marks and bleeds. All we need to see is trim marks only. We don't need all this other stuff. And then use document bleed settings. So trim marks, use document bleed settings. I click on this little guy here. Joel's Press PDF. I hit OK. It is now saved all of those. And I hit Export PDF. It's going to open. And then here you can see crop marks are built in. It's got the bleed. It's showing the bleed properly. And then so when the printer sees this, they can be like, yep, crop marks, you got bleed. It's all looking good. Perfect. Let's go with it. We can run it. Send us the native file or whatever. So that is why you do that. And then, so if I was just File, Export, Export as, I'm just going to show you that they save. That if I go down in here, Joel's Client PDF, Joel's Press PDF, boom, those two. For the rest of the semester, you do one, do the other, you're done. You don't have to look at anything. You don't have to set it up. So that's how you do the quick setup for your PDF. That really works well for my class. Maybe some other class if you have to do that, where it's just this, like I have the same thing over and over and over. It may work really well for client only, simply because for the press, a lot of times things will change. Every printer is going to have different instructions for you that you'll have to read through and know and understand. So having one set up for press across the board may not work, but having one for a client really will, and it just kind of saves you time. It saves you some button clicks, yeah. And especially in school, it's important, but working in the industry, just kind of knowing, just having your stuff set up and any automation you can do is better. It just helps you forget one last thing. There are professional design. Aaron Draplin, the guy that that was her brand, has a pre-flight check he does. He has a printout. He's, in the industry working, not an instructor like me. Like I was in the industry, we had these, and then now I'm here. But we have these pre-flight checks, no matter what, no matter how good you are. It's a piece of paper and you go through and you make sure everything's marked off, because we always forget something. So the more you can automate, the better. Having pre-flight checks, that's a little bit of that sheet, the rubric, and I have those 20 things. Check that. Did you do all 20 things? Did you mess something up? So there you go. I hope you understand. If you have questions, let me know. Does anybody have questions now? Just answer them right now. And you can ask me later. So that is why so you understand the reason why I'm making you do 2 PDFs in a native file. One, I want to check the layers, make sure you're doing everything correct on the native file. And then the 2 PDFs just gets you in that mode of something that's going to be automatic to you. We always did it. We always were sending stuff to the client, and then we'd send one to the press. Like once it was all approved, we'd double check with the press people and then send them other files. So it is normal in the industry. Let's talk about textures. I want to talk about textures because we do these old projects and I always get textures done the wrong way. So say we're doing the invention of writing, right? And I want like a cool paper background. I get this all the time and I just don't do it. You can find what you need on the internet. Don't do this. I get people then who go in the Photoshop Oh, why can't I grab it? And they use the Photoshop texture system. And they're like, I'm going to use the texturizer. And then you change the colors and you make it look bleed. But I hope the reason why this is horrific to use or anything out of these is the pattern. Do you see the pattern here? There's a repeat. If you kind of squint, there's a grid of a square. Here's a square. Here's a square. Let me just hit OK. And I can try to highlight the squares. It's easiest to see like right here. Here's a square, and the same square repeats, and the same square repeats, and the same square repeats. People know from a mile away, oh, you use the Photoshop texture. Photoshop textures, excuse me, do this all the time. And I can see them. And when a student does it, I'm like, oh, I see you use a Photoshop texture. It's obvious. You can see it. You're not fooling anybody. It's not worth doing. Um, so like when we do these old styly things and you're like, I want something to look old and different. Well, you know what? Uh, just put in paper. Oh my God. So paper texture. Then go to tools. Oh, wait, where is it? Oh, images, excuse me. Tools, size, large, and find the biggest piece of like paper. And you can, there's millions out here that you can find that aren't going to be marked. And just look for anything like over here, 1,000, 15 old paper textures free. I don't know. And this is what I do. Oh, I'll look for paper. And I'm like, this is great. It's actually a piece of paper. It's got wrinkles in it. I can use it. And it's 3,000 by 1688. Perfect. And then I just save that and use that. Uh, so don't go to Photoshop and be like, oh, Photoshop can make every texture no matter what. It does, but it makes it out of a pattern and you can see the pattern. And it looks very amateurish. Like I can tell, like in the open, in the world, I'll see a piece and be like, oh, they used Photoshop texture. Like it's just too apparent. Um, Wood textures, anything. They're all out there. You can find it. Somebody's taking a picture and it's free on the internet, or you take it yourself. So when we're doing some of these old-timey designs and you're like, I want a really old-looking texture, just find one on the internet that's high enough res. And I stress high enough res is so important. You've learned about this in other classes, is make sure when you get an image of any sort that you look at the number, the pixel number, and the minimum is 1,000 pixels that you should ever use. At least for classes. Like it should be even higher, but 1,000 on one side of it should be 1,000 pixels this way or that way. And that counts for anything. I grabbed the logo. I grabbed some images of some people having fun. Everything you pull off the internet, that image should be 1,000 pixels on at least one side or more. Anything less is just going to blow out in the high res file. You just want to always go higher. So I just wanted to mention that before anybody got too far and just jumped in the Photoshop and used a Photoshop texture. Don't. You're better than that. You can design better and things will look better. So anything. Oh, I want a wood. Wood. You can find pieces of wood. Beautiful. People scan it, texture, like click on it. 700 by foot, like you could use that. I want this one. They're all over the place. Anything you need, just kind of dig around on the internet. You should be able to find it. If you have access to the Adobe stock, I don't know if you have access to it with a student account. It's a weird, like the stock It's like a stock exchange. It's stock.adobe.com because you don't want to put an Adobe stock. That would be purchasing stock from a look at. I found some weird shit. Uh, paper search. And here, Adobe stock has them. You might be able to get like a few free downloads from Adobe, but it's another great place. It's kind of built in. I have a different account uh, that I work with, so I get free downloads. You may get some with your student account. So it's another place to look. Like, I want that paper texture. You can just download it. So there you go. No repeats. There's another one. I get this one, and now that I see this, it's like if you ever do something that's supposed to look like loose leaf paper, don't draw the loose leaf paper and illustrate. Just get a piece of loose leaf paper and do your shit on top of it. Like I see that so much. It's like, there's pieces of these paper all over. You could just have it be authentic instead of this, you know, everybody gets the spacing wrong and stuff like that. So the more you can do from real life, the more you can do reference, or if you're like, no, I want it all vector, trace, get the spacing 100% correct. People can tell from mile away with stuff that you see every day. You'll note people in general public will notice there's something wrong. What's wrong? And it's like, oh, it's not quite the way I remember it being. And it's because of poor research in the design phase. Any questions, comments, or concerns about all of that jibber jabber? Is that a raised hand? Yeah.
Real pictures also, or
Yeah. You can use real pictures as long as they're high enough res. Yeah. All right. Let's talk about, well, Tuesday assignment. We did the invention of writing, the title. I went over that. Oh, here, I thought I'd show you these. And then to show you some mistakes I don't want you to do. They're not all bad, but I'm going to show you some. And then I'm going to show you some of the invention of writing. And I'm just going to go quickly over these. Think that student. This would be great, except they used design instead of writing. So they didn't read the instructions correctly, but the invention of design is supposed to be the invention of writing. Make sure you proofread your work. This one, I'll just call it bare minimum. The T and the W are bigger, but then for some reason the writing is a little lower and touching. Like it's five words, and you like schedule 1 hour for this. Kind of make it cool. Do what you can to make it cool. Here's one. They're getting there. They're playing with the interaction of letters. So the is connecting into invention. That's some thinking. I like that. This little of by the writing. Very cool. It's a little bit low, There's so much gap on the top, but not so much on the bottom. And I think this is the wrong size. So the student did it at the wrong size. So make sure your size is correct as well. What is this one? Oh, this one. I'm going to nip this one in the butt right now. Don't outline your fonts yet. You don't know how to. Unless you got specific instructions from me previously on the proper way to outline a font for graphic design, don't do it because this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong, and that is wrong. There's a way, and I'm going to teach it in a class, and I'll probably run over it in here, that the outline goes behind the font, not in front of the font. And everybody just puts it in front and ruins the writing. So don't outline fonts. You're going to hear from me right away, and I'll be like, you did it wrong. Let's not outline. I'm going to teach you how to do it later. And it's sometimes, you know what it is? It's a crutch. Oh, I don't know what to do, so I'm going to put an outline on it. Well, why? What is that? Is that adding to the design? Is it doing anything? If it is like adding and bolstering the design and it's a design element, remember design elements and principles class that you might have had with me? Is it a proper element? Why are you adding an outline to the type? A lot of the times designers add an outline, beginning designers because you're nervous. Oh, I don't know if it'll read well. I'm going to throw in an outline, and an outline fixes everything. Outline actually does the reverse, makes it harder to read unless it's properly done, proper thickness. It destroys the letters, all this kind of stuff. So unless I taught you how, don't do it. It needs to go on the outside. It needs to go behind and on the outside. And there's something to learn for that. So there you go. Some tricks and tips on that one. You got plenty of time. It's 5 words and a small design. And yeah. I'll show you some of the other designs here just to get an idea of just kind of some of the beginning designs people did. It's all here. I think the only one with this one I told the student probably was the background is still too dark. Uh, you can read the writing, but it's right on the edge of like easy to read, not easy to read. We want to make sure that that contrast of type of the body copy is legible on top of the background. So if you do use a background, make sure the contrast is high enough that the font is easy to read. It has to be, I mean, that's simply it. It's easy to read. Oh, but it's really cool and hard. In the future, we do something called Design for Designers, you can get really funky and make things hard to read. It's like Metallica's Black Album. They had a pure black album cover, and then their Metallica was just in gloss. And so like if you saw it from the wrong angle, it just looked pure black. But then when you saw it from the right angle, like that's cool. But that's like designery stuff that like you do it for a reason. If you have too dark of a background and you put text over it and you can't read it, like that doesn't help anybody. You are visual communicators. You should make it easy for people to read unless, unless it's for something very cool. Here's another one. Again, I think I mentioned the background. Just some of those dark splatters get really dark, like the text. So, and I think I was like, you can make the title bigger. Use your space. You don't have to be gross about it, but use your space wisely. And then I think you guys saw this one. Yeah. I showed that one. So just a few more examples. We're just getting started and things will improve and get better as we do this. You're going to do like 16 of them. Hopefully, over time too, each one you do, you're like going to be like, oh, next time I want to do this. Next time I'm going to try this. And so hopefully it grows and grows within the guidelines of the assignments. Project A, Part 1, historical posters. All right. You're going to develop a series of 3 posters for a single client, each poster designed in a different graphic design style, as described in the specified textbook chapters. All right. Here's what you're going to do. You're going to download this PDF. You are allowed to pick from anything in these chapters. And I would go through it, and this is where for me, it would be all visual. 3 different styles. And you just kind of mark them, be like, going through, and then like, I love, I want a better picture. I want a Muka. Well, I love this dude. So I'd be like, I want to do a poster that's like kind of similar to this style. And then maybe we'll do a poster that's similar to this style. And then you're like, you're going to have to know. You're going to pick 3 different design styles. Herbert Matter. Whew, love him. So go through all these chapters. There's a lot of chapters to choose from. It's like half the book. And I want you to have, be able to pick whatever you want. You're going to pick 3 different design styles, and you will be emulating that design style for your project. And I'll show you two setups. Research project. Choose design style. Select 3 different graphic design styles from the Megs, and it's chapters 12, 16, 17. It doesn't matter. I just have it for you. Write at least 50 words about each chosen style and include 3 historical visuals for each style. So if you choose, for me, I chose people. I chose like Herbert Matter, and this was for one I did last semester. I'll redo it. Herbert Matter, Otto Stort, and Ray somebody. I have to double check. I got 50 words about each designer, and then I got examples of their work. Don't worry, I'll show you an example. I'll show you two examples, one from a student, one for me. You're going to select the client. The client can be anybody you want in the world. Some people choose clothing companies. I chose Vans shoes, or that Vans is more than just shoes. You can choose somebody local. Uh, you just need to be able to have their logo. You need an accurate logo of theirs. And we could talk about that in the future. How do you get a logo from a client? And even a client can't give you a correct logo, I'll tell you that much. So who is your client? And 50 words about your client. Because we don't know, like you guys pick some weird stuff. I'm like, I've never heard about that. What is that? You're going to create a presentation, a multi-page presentation document in Adobe InDesign because you can use Pages. You'll be sending me this. I'll be seeing it and checking it. Include all research and content from the steps above. 3 design styles, 3 design style write-ups, client choice, client write-up. And use grids, parent pages, and other layout tools that you have learned in InDesign to help you out. Upload. You just have to do a simple one for this because it is like a presentation. I'm not asking for the 2 exports. So this is just the one. So don't worry, this is just easy. It's the smallest file size one. So you have that you'll have that already built. Hopefully, just use that. All I need is both files, just 2. The InDesign. So if I see something wrong if I'm looking through your design document and I see like skipping or something moves when you go from one slide and it shifts and shifts, I can talk to you about correcting those because in a presentation to a client, anything that happens that shouldn't happen is a distraction during the presentation. And you'd be amazed at how people glom on to something they shouldn't be looking at because it moved and miss all the good information you're giving them. So we're going to work on really like great presentation styles. Let's check out the student example, and then I'll show you my example, which didn't work. So they have an opening page. Their client, the Daily Bird, historical poster series, client brief and styles. They started with the Daily Bird, gave the write-up. It is a coffee shop in the heart of River West. Great, nice, clean, clear. They got some images. Beautiful. It's what we need. Mind you, I'm going to tell you this. You'd be like, but they don't have 3 examples. The project has changed over the years. You'll see in mine, it's better. So they picked the Vienna Secession. They have an example. It's like 2 examples rolled into one, right? They have the border in this, but they have a write-up on the Vienna Secession, and then they have at least 1 example. You need 3. Mind you, what I said, this is an older document. My newer one will show you the right way. They chose a modern movement in America, have some examples, and you can see their backgrounds too. They're starting to emulate the design style already. And then Paul Rand, and they have 2 examples. You, again, 3, 3, 3. How many? 3. But you showed us that one. This is just to get you started. I will show you mine. Mine is having trouble. Oh, so I'm having some trouble. My fonts aren't showing up. I'm having technical issues here, and I do not want to I didn't want to restart the computer in the middle of lectures because I was like, if it doesn't restart, I'm so screwed. But it's not finding my fonts. So let's go and so I can't export and stuff right now. Here's mine, intro page. I have a chapter page in here that I like doing. I'm gonna lock this so it doesn't. This is where my fonts are wrong, and this thing, it's been loading for like 2 hours. So I have Herbert Matter. I have my write-up on Herbert Matter, and I have three distinct images, all created by Herbert Matter. So when you're looking online and you find your style or your person, make sure that you are finding a piece by the person and not somebody did a piece based on that person. It's very hard to get those. It's very easy to find a piece that simulates somebody else. Like Paula Scheer did a very famous piece based on a Herbert Matter piece, and people often think Herbert Matter did it, but it's actually Paula Scheer did it based on Herbert Matter. It's like a beautiful copy. So make sure you're doing that. So I got Herbert Matter, I got my three pieces. Bradbury Thompson, I got three of his pieces. And Otto Storch, three of his pieces. Why did I choose these three? Just their styles. It's all about the styles. Um, when I do these with you all, I try to jump around different styles, different designers to give myself that trial. And this one, sadly, just happened to pick three dudes. I don't always try to do that either. So explore different time periods, different designers, anything you want in those chapters that stands out to you, you can choose. And then you just make sure, like, when you start to look at it and you're like, I love it. So some people will pick, um, what happened? Sorry. You'll be like, oh, I want Elf on Muka. And then you go to images and you're like, yeah, I love this work. And then my first question is like, do you think you could emulate something like that for your design poster? Do something within your wheelhouse that you're comfortable, like, I can probably knock that out, or you're like, who I have to make it a full illustration in this style on top of everything else I have to do and two other posters. Am I going to be able to create something in this style? Um, you know, double check your own self before you dive in and be like, I can totally do that, and be like, I can't. So I encourage you to push yourselves as far as you can with these, but like don't overdo it and pick a style that is beyond your design capabilities, but use it as a growing point. So I did Bradbury Thompson. I picked these guys because I love the color. I love this photo montaging that Herbert Matter does. Like these with color bars. Like a lot of it is like color bars and like weird photography that I really love. Here it's design setup where they took the picture and they beautifully typeset, like knowing like these photos were taken knowing where the type was gonna go. Like it's just beautifully done. So that's why. And then my client was Vans. So I got three old example, like these are really old school. I just thought I'd throw that in, where they're from, and that's it. So that is what you need to do for the project. Next week, I will show you a new one that I will have started to develop for this. For the poster series, where I'll choose three different clients or three different areas and three clients. And like I said, I do my damnedest to do these with you because in the lectures later on, I will actually do the design work and you can watch me design. And that's a great way to learn. It's kind of like a YouTube. Like if you ever watch YouTube channels where you watch people design to get tricks and tips, that's what I try to do. It's a lot less about like lecturing about design, but showing you here's how I design this. If you do this, you can try this and move this here. So as we progress and get out of this just beginning intro stage of week one, we'll grow and adapt. So that is what you need to do for the big project for Thursday. Let me see here. Let's open this back up. Yeah, is there any questions, comments, or concerns at this point with Project A or the other projects? All right. Um, just so everybody knows, I can't, oh, I can exit. I am doing for midweek project reviews. I will do them. Some people started handing them in. Uh, I will try to do a video. You're going to get links now to YouTube. Uh, MATC no longer allows us to upload videos because it takes up all the storage that they have. Uh, if every like I upload a lot of videos, so now I'm going to upload them to YouTube and I'm going to send you a link usually. So if you do a mid-session review, if it's an easy change, I'll type it out. If it's a longer change, I'll actually record a video of me talking and circling and telling you about it, and I'm going to upload a link for you. Um, Within the assignments, I think I can still do the video edits. If that changes, I will also let you know. Um, Generally, for grading and turning things in, though, I'm going to try to change it so I can note to myself. I'm going to start. Oh, there's a question. For the presentation design and style descriptions, is it okay to use ChatGPT? Yes. Yeah, you can use that. Yeah, I did. Or, yeah, that's fine. Like I said, I want you to have the information. It's 100 or 50 words. It's not much. And generally, like a lot of times, if you pick a client, go to the client's about page and just copy and paste. Most clients have an about paragraph because they're proud of where they came from. You can do that. Newer designers have their own website, but that's newer. They might not be applicable. But I mean, like Seymour Schwast, he's still alive. I think he is. He's got a website. I did work on him and did pulled from his about page once. So wherever you can find it, but yes, you can use ChatGPT because this is less about that, more about knowing that you're going to emulate a design style. And maybe a good reason to know this is one of the reasons we do this is as a graphic designer wherever you're doing work for, whoever you're doing work for, that company has a brand and you have to match their brand no matter what. It's very rarely that you get like a whole, like, just do whatever you want. It's okay. It's usually, it's got to match something else. And so you as a designer need to be able to look at like my exact Vans. It has to match what Vans is doing. I can't just do something crazy. They'll be like, oh, this doesn't match our brand at all. So being able to emulate like from history and try different things, one, it opens up your design styles. Two, it is that idea of like, I have to be able to match stuff. Graphic design is about matching other people's work a lot of the time. So, and then, okay, so that's that. So then to go back to what I was talking about with assignments, I may try to give comments on assignments sooner, but I know there's the two discussion replies, and some people will, the first person up, you can't do discussion replies until other people turn in homework. So I know that's kind of irritating. But I may grade, like I may make your comment sooner, but you won't get your grade until the discussions are done. I hope that makes sense. And that just like, then you can look, and if I'm like, you should change this or this is good, like whatever, you can get your comments way early. But I won't do the grade for the assignment until you've actually done all three parts, which is one turn in, two discussions. I hope that makes sense. We'll see how that works out. If it gets too confusing for me or for the students, like I see you put a comment, but you didn't grade it, I'll figure it out. So there we go. Anything else? All right, awesome. If you do have questions, comments, or concerns, I'm around. I'll be checking. I'll even probably check this Sunday just because everything's new. And I will come in ready to roll on Tuesday with new assignments, with new setups, and show you actually just kind of get into designing and talking about design as I design. I'm looking forward to it. Next week is where kind of like normalcy starts. So, all right, cool. Talk to you all later. Bye-bye.